Welcome to the Red Pride Thundercast. My name is Nick Thunder Green. And I'm here today talking about the Mid-State Conference race for the championship and the Plainfield football season with a special guest in that area, in that segment. So let's start talking about the Mid-State Conference. So in the Mid-State Conference, we have Franklin, Whiteland, Mooresville, Martinsville, Greenwood, Decatur, Perry, and Plainfield. So last year, Whiteland completely dominated the Mid-State Conference. But this year they are kind of bad now. But yeah, they're bad this year. Now the big matchups this year in the Mid-State Conference. Last week, week 7, we had a game of the week for WTHR at Plainfield. It was Franklin and Plainfield, and that was actually for the Mid-State Conference lead. Plainfield came away with that win 38-3. And the other big matchups this year, for Mid-State, the other big matchups this year, is of course Greenwood and Decatur. Let's talk about that one real quick. Greenwood is kind of in the back, in Mid-State, but they had a 28-7 lead, a week after Plainfield lost to Decatur. But then Decatur came back in the second half and they won 63-42 at the end of the game. And the Mid-State standings right now has Plainfield leading at 4-1 against the Mid-State Conference rivals, but they're 6-1 in the normal season. Martinsville is 3-2, 3-2 against Mid-State, 4-3 normal, same as Franklin. Decatur Decatur is as well 4-2. Mooresville is 2-3. Mooresville's 2-3 against the Mid-State teams when they're also 3-4. And then Whiteland is also 2-3, 3-4. And then same as Greenwood, but Greenwood is actually 4-3 against the normal teams. And then we get to Perry Meridian. They're 1-4 against the Mid-State teams, and I think they beat Whiteland. Let's check in on on their thing. Yeah, they did beat Whiteland. They did indeed beat Whiteland. So yeah, that's the whole Mid-State things. That's your whole Mid-State schedule. Now Decatur, their upcoming games, are Perry and Franklin. Those two games should be fun. Both of them are at Decatur, by the way, as well. Then we get to Martinsville. They are currently second in the Mid-State. They have a game this Friday at home against Mooresville, and then next Friday, Plainfield will host Martinsville on Plainfield's fall break. So my prediction is that Plainfield's going to win this Friday, just barely over Whiteland, and they will also win next Friday as well against Martinsville. So Plainfield will indeed win Mid-State this year. That's my prediction. And now let's go to the Plainfield football season. Let's now talk about the Plainfield football season. Before last season, head coach Brian Woodard decided to call it quits, and there was a coach in the running. Plainfield did not do well until the end of the season when they won the sectional championship and made regionals, but lost to Whiteland. This year, head coach Tyler Bless takes over for Brian Woodard, and Plainfield already looks a whole lot better than they did last year. And I know that all of the fans actually knows that for sure. And I have one of the fans here today. Here is Ben Wiederholt from the from Broadcasting 1 class. This is for Broadcasting 2. So Ben, how do you feel about the Plainfield football season so far?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on your podcast. Obviously, a big fan of the show. But it's been a ride. I mean, obviously, you're going to have those when 6-1. Only been pretty dominant in the mid state. So it's been really cool to see. And I think something that really needs to be touched on is how dynamic this Plainfield offense is. Not only do you have that passing attack with Vanderbush, Rivera, Miller, but that rushing attack with Starnes this year, that has been a force to be reckoned with. And not many teams, if any, have been able to stop him.
So, how many home games have you been to this year?
This year, I've only been to 2. I'd like to have gone to more, but certain things got in the way. But always been like checking the scores and like trying to keep up with everything going on, and it's just been really something to see. And the way the whole community has reacted to such a great year for this football team.
Yeah. Well, so more of that. So how do you feel about our defenses here?
The defense, well, it stood up in big moments, like the I'm not sure if it was blocked or I think it was blocked against Perry. That field goal would have won Perry the game. That was a very clutch win there to put them ahead and at that point remain undefeated. But just standing up in big moments and really the second half. Like if you watched Greenwood at Plainfield, that was a very neck and neck game. But then as the offense started to really take things off in the second half, Greenwood couldn't keep answering Plainfield like they did in the first half because the defense was able to stiffen up and tighten down and not let Greenwood get as many first downs, move the ball as well like they had in the first half. And that was a big turning point in that game because it gave Plainfield more possessions. That's why they were able to run the score up like they did.
Well, I do want to say thank you for joining with this podcast. And that was Ben Wiederholt, everyone. So now let's go to the Plainfield schedule and the scores so far. So the Plainfield schedule. So Plainfield coming in, they dropped Greenfield Central after last year. So coming into this year, they got chosen to play Terre Haute South Vigo in Terre Haute. Terre Haute had to host us, which the ride there wasn't that bad, but the roads were still bumpy. So Plainfield and Terre Haute was evenly matched in the first half, and then that's when Plainfield started to tear things up in the second half. 32-13, Plainfield got the win. Final score. Game 2 was against Harrison. Plainfield won. Plainfield lost to Harrison when Game 1 last season, but won the sectional game number 1 against them last season as well. So Plainfield comes out wins this one 15-14. There's really nothing to say about Mooresville. Like the Mooresville game was just on Plainfield, and a kick return touchdown for Caden Vanderbush was a highlight of the day. And then we get to Perry. Ben Wiederholt did talk about that game. Greenwood, it was evenly matched in the first half like Terre Haute South, but Plainfield pulled away in the second half and won 46-20. Then the next week, on a 50-yarder field goal made by Decatur, wins the game for Decatur on their homecoming day, 26-23. Then the next week, Franklin had hope, and Plainfield crushed their hope as Plainfield easily cruises to the win, 38-3, and they put up 30 points in the first half. Then this Friday night, we have Plainfield at Whiteland, and the next Friday, Plainfield at Martinsville. And before we go, let's take a look at the top 10 in 5A. Bloomington North is undefeated in 5A. They're first. Then it's Fort Wayne Snyder, Plainfield, Bloomington South, Valparaiso, Evansville North, Decatur Central. Decatur is 7th. Harrison is 8th. Mishawaka is 9th. And then Maryville is in 10th. Well, thanks for tuning in. And also remember, let's go Quakers.